Namaskar. I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session. You are watching this training program on NCERT channels. Yes, these are PME Vidya channels 6 to 12 and also on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. This is our online training on safety in cyberspace. It's a 5-day, 5-hour training program and today we are in day 3 of the training session. The topic that we have taken up today is physical aspect of cyber safety. And for this topic, of course, you must be having a lot of questions. You can always get in touch with us. Please take down our phone number, which is 8800440559. We also have a dedicated email ID for you, that is training.helpdesk@cit.nic.in. You can also send us your questions, feedback and suggestions on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. This is a training program and there is going to be an assessment on the last day of the training session. So we request everybody to kindly watch all our sessions very carefully, participate in them with relevant questions. Now we all know that cyberspace is an arena where we need to keep ourselves safe and protected. Well, it is not just about saving ourselves from different kind of threats or frauds that are happening, but also to protect our mental sanity, to protect our physical health, emotional well-being as well. So today we'll be focusing on physical aspects, what all problems we are encountering these days, because we have increased screen time. There's so much of a dependence on the social media platforms or other domains in cyberspace that we are using, be it for financial transactions or other commercial transactions or even for communication. So how these are hampering our growth and how they are bringing a different kind of challenge to us. We will be discussing everything in detail. And to have a discussion on the same, we have invited our expert in the studio. So please join me in welcoming my guest for today. I'm in conversation with Dr. Asmita Vashisht. Ma'am, namaskar and a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you for having me here.
And let me tell everybody that ma'am is senior resident from National Drug Dependence Treatment Center, AIIMS, New Delhi. Now ma'am, before you present your presentation and you delve deep into the topic, I request you to kindly share a brief overview of all the main points that you will be covering in the session with our viewers.
Yes, surely. So today's presentation will basically focus on the physical health aspects of cyber safety. As you have very rightly said that in today's times we are constantly surrounded by devices. So this use of devices, our habits, what effect are they having on our physical health, on our bodies, that we will be discussing. Okay. And the presentation, in the presentation we'll briefly discuss about what physical health is, how and what is the impact of the cyberspace on our physical health, and what can we do to save ourselves from this deleterious impact.
Absolutely ma'am, because we are seeing so many people are suffering because of the increased use of cyber arena. Now I request you to kindly go ahead with your presentation and then I'll be asking questions at the end.
Yeah, so let's begin with the presentation, which is the physical health aspects of cyber safety. And I think this is a very important topic because this encompasses the subtle and the persistent effects that our use of devices have on our bodies. So we begin with a short mention about what cyber safety is. Cyber safety refers to the use of information and communication technology safely and responsibly. And by safely and responsibly, it just does not mean the behavior that we have online towards other people, but also how we are using it in context to our own mental health as well as our own physical health. So the topic, the presentation will be covered under 3 headings, that is physical aspects of cyber safety, impact on physical health, and safeguarding our physical health. We briefly discuss about what physical health is. So physical health is defined as a state of well-being when all our internal and external organs, tissues, cells can function properly as they are supposed to function. It also encompasses a state of physical well-being where a person is physically fit to perform their daily activities without restriction. So, sorry.
Right.
So basically it means that if you are a student and you are supposed to study and go to your school and you have to work, so you should be able to do it without being bogged down by any restriction in your physical health.
Right. So you're right, because when we talk about physical well-being, definitely it concerns with our body, and we know that eyesight is getting weaker these days very quickly. Even young children are suffering from that because they are hooked on to gadgets.
Exactly my point. And how do we obtain this physical well-being is through regular exercise, proper nutrition, adequate sleep and preventive healthcare practices. So in the coming slides, we will see how the digital screens have an impact on our physical health. As the picture is very well indicative of it, there is this young boy who is sitting in a open space, say a park, and he is engrossed in watching his iPad and listening to music in his headphones. So if I talk in summation, the impact of digital spaces on physical health encompasses many areas of our physical health, such as sleep, our lifestyle, eyes, ears, posture, neck and shoulders, hands and wrists, and even our back. So you can see these are the areas which are being affected by your use of devices. Coming on to the first and the very important aspect, that is sleep. So how is our use of these digital devices impacting our sleep? First and foremost, we are all aware that we have blue light filters on our devices,
Yes.
in our phones, in our laptops, right? So this blue light, it causes disruption of melatonin. Now melatonin is a hormone in a brain which is responsible for the maintenance of circadian rhythms. What is circadian rhythm? It is basically that you are able to wake up when there is sunlight, you see the light, melatonin goes away and you are able to wake up, and then at night when there is darkness, melatonin comes into your body and you are able to fall asleep, and because of this we are able to wake up and sleep at the normal time. But because of the use of screens, there is no melatonin in the body, and so it leads to falling asleep very late at night, remaining tired the next day. Secondly, the content that we are viewing online, the Instagram shorts, the Instagram reels, the YouTube shorts, they are all very stimulating content, right? So your brain is constantly very active, it is constantly engaged in activity, and it does not slow down for you to fall asleep. Third would be delay in bedtime due to playing games, binge watching series. So we always want to see what happens in the next game or what happens in the next episode, and that also causes us to fall asleep very late. Another thing that you all must have experienced is whenever we are using our devices in beds, we are lying in somewhat difficult positions, our neck is not properly supported, our back is not straight. So it causes pain in back and neck, which also causes a problem in falling asleep. Other than this, people might encounter negative online experiences such as cyberbullying or having negative comments on their feeds, which can lead to fear and stress, again causing disruption in sleep. And receiving any kind of bad news over social media, any bad information can also cause stress and anxiety, which will also cause problems in falling asleep. Other than this, not just sleep but the entire lifestyle. Lifestyle encompasses everything that we eat, from what are we doing with our time, where are we going, how are we choosing to spend our time. That is all what our lifestyle encompasses, and that is also greatly influenced by our screen use, such as whether influences daily life in the form of our interactions, work and leisure, whether you are choosing to spend your time with your friends offline, whether you are actually spending time with your friends and family, or whether you are just interacting with them through Instagram or Facebook. Your entertainment options, are you going out to play cricket or are we just playing games on our consoles, right? Inactive lifestyle risks. So now if a person is spending too much of time on the phone or on the laptops, they are not going out into the real world, they are not exercising, they are not walking, which leads to increase in health issues such as obesity. And obesity, as we all know, is a risk factor for major non-communicable diseases such as hypertension and diabetes. So that is a big risk factor. Food choices. Having a mobile phone in our hands has given us this power to order food from anywhere, at any point of the time of the day, right? So having Zomato, Swiggy and easy access to it increases the chances of people consuming more junk food, more fast food, and that promotes unhealthy eating habits. And overall, this would lead to detrimental health consequences by having sedentary behavior and poor diet choices. Coming on to the most obvious impact that we all talk about is eyes, the impact on eyes. So using screens for a very longer period of time will lead to computer vision syndrome, which is basically digital eye strain. So when you're constantly focusing on a shorter distance such as the screens, it will cause your eyes to become fatigued, you will have pain behind your eyes, you will have a burning sensation in your eyes. The screen light also causes us to have reduced blinking, which leads to dryness, irritation and burning sensation and tired eyes. There can be vision problems. You can have blurred vision if you try shifting focus between a shorter distance such as your phone screens and then seeing somewhere far off into the background. That can also you might face blurring of vision. Then light sensitivity, because the screens have a higher brightness, then the eyes become sensitized to that light and there is increased strain. The last would be musculoskeletal issues, where because of seeing constantly looking at the devices, we might have headache, neck, shoulder and back pain. How does it impact our ears? So the constantly using earphones or headphones or iPods to listen to whatever is being played on our devices causes hearing damage. Although most devices do have a safety limit for the sound, that they do give a warning that hearing at volume levels above this particular level can harm your ears, but still listening to sounds through those devices can harm the inner ear structures, causing hearing loss or tinnitus. It reduces your awareness in the environment. If you are crossing a road, if you are driving, or if you are in a park and you are listening to music through the earphones, it decreases your awareness of your environment, affecting safety. And long term use of these in-ear plug promotes bacterial growth and fungal growth over these devices, which can lead to ear infections. Now coming to posture. So posture is the way we are sitting or standing, how we are placing our hands, what are we doing with our necks and backs. That is basically what posture is. So how digital screens have impacted posture is that we tend to sit in whatever feels comfortable for the moment, right? And we while using these devices, we tend to maintain that posture for very long hours. So if say students have online classes and then they are doing their homework on the laptops and then they are binge watching something or using the screens to play games, they are in that posture for the majority part of their day. Now what happens is, for any movement that the body is doing, there are two groups of muscles which are involved. So say if you are like moving your hand this way, there is a group of muscle on the upper side of your hand and the other group of the muscle which will be present on the lower surface of your hand. Any movement in the, like if I am moving my hand this way, the muscles on the top part of the hand will become shortened and they will be under this shortened posture for a very long time, which requires energy, and ultimately the muscles will become fatigued and they will have injury or strain. So this is what is known as the repetitive strain injury. That is the prolonged maintaining of the posture or repeated similar movements will cause strain on muscles, tendons and nerve. The common causes of repetitive strain injury will be slouching while using the devices, as we all must have observed ourselves and our friends doing. It puts a strain on the spine and the muscles. Poor ergonomics, that is not using the correct chair with a good back support, having an incorrect desk height or a screen position, prolonged sitting in the same position for very long hours, and repeated movements such as leaning forward can frequently stress the lower back. What are the symptoms of repetitive strain injury? There will be persistent back pain, stiffness, soreness, there will be increased discomfort after prolonged screen use, and pain might radiate to other body parts such as neck and shoulders. So now we look at each body part in a bit more detail. How is this affecting our neck and shoulders? So prolonged use of devices have led to a condition known as text neck syndrome in a lot of people. Here, because you are constantly looking down at your mobile phones or at your computer screen, your back becomes slouched and your neck becomes down. It causes pain in neck, it causes headaches, and it might lead to breathing issues. Another condition known as turtleneck, where there is overextension of the neck such that the neck is in a somewhat forward position. So this overextending extending of the neck causes muscle tensions and headaches. Then there is another entity known as the round shoulders, where if you see your body from the side, there is a midline which divides the body into the front half and the back half. So now both of your shoulders should normally be present exactly at this middle line, but when both the shoulders are present in front of the line, the back becomes slouched, and this is known as the rounding of shoulders, and it can cause excessive pressure on the upper back and lead to upper back pain. The final condition is the mouse shoulders, wherein people who are using their mouse for majority part of the day, what happens, there is pain in the shoulders of the hand where with which they are using their mouse, and it causes pain and tension and stiffness in the shoulder. Coming to hands and wrist, we are holding our mobile phones in our hands, or we are typing on the keyboard with our hands, so obviously hands and wrist also get affected. So the first condition is known as the cell phone elbow or the cubital tunnel syndrome. Now what happens, on the inner aspect of our arms, we have like on the inner side of your elbow, there is a nerve known as the ulnar nerve, and bending of the elbow, which mostly happens whenever we are holding our phones at this position or whenever we are working on the laptops, causes excessive pressure on this nerve, and it leads to, as you can see in the diagram, it leads to pain or numbness in the area that has been highlighted, involving the little finger and the outer aspect of your ring finger and the inner aspect of your forearm. So this is known as the cubital tunnel syndrome. Similar to this is the carpal tunnel syndrome, where the inner aspect of the wrist has a nerve which is known as the median nerve, and whenever this nerve gets compressed, there is tingling and numbness on the thumb, the index finger and the middle finger, and this is caused by excessive typing on the keyboard or excessive use of the mouse because of the compression of the median nerve. Now the other two situations, which are the smartphone pinky and the texter's thumb, have gained a lot of popularity in the social media as well. So smartphone pinky is like when we are holding our phone, we use our little finger to support the weight of the phone. Now social media will tell you that because of this, many people might feel a dent in their little finger. Does this cause any nerve injury? Well, that is not really true. Such pressure might not cause a nerve injury in the finger. However, if you have some kind of tendinitis or some kind of pain in your finger, it will definitely aggravate that pain. Other than this, if there is constant pain in the little finger, it can also be a sign of having cubital tunnel syndrome. That is, your nerve could be getting compressed in the upper part of your arm, and that could be causing the pain. So that is one condition. Texter's thumb is due to constantly typing on the phone, the muscles of the thumbs become overused, they are cramped in the same position. So there is pain at the point where the thumb joins the hand and in the middle of the thumb, along with weakness, numbness in thumbs and wrist from repetitive smartphone use. Coming to back, upper back pain is the most common complaint associated with the use of screens, as have been found by the research. There is discomfort and a noticeable reduction in the motor ability, such as moving your shoulders in a circular direction. You might feel some difficulty in doing this if you have, if your back is affected by your screen use. And two other conditions are kyphosis and lumbar lordosis. Kyphosis is, as you can see in the diagram, it is increasing in the outward curvature of the upper part of the spine, whereas lumbar lordosis is increase in the inward curvature of the lower part of the spine.
So we can see that these days the way people sit, they actually slouch, and this is causing problems to them in the long run.
Yes, and while using screens, we are not even aware that we are doing this thing.
Right.
So coming on to the third part and the very important part of today's presentation, which is safeguarding. How do we safeguard our physical health against these effects? So first concept that we need to understand is ergonomics. Ergonomics is basically the study of human interaction with their work environment. That is, how is your chair, how is your desk, how are you sitting, and are you comfortable while sitting this. So your interaction with your immediate work environment, that is ergonomics, and having good ergonomics results in improved performance, comfort, and it reduces the risk of any injuries. So there are some practical ergonomic approaches that should be adapted, such as posture adjustments. We should sit upright, avoid slouching. Our devices should be placed at proper levels, such as proper eye level, wrist should be in neutral positions. We should take frequent breaks. We should tweak our environment according to our own comforts, and we should be mindful of our use of devices. We should always question whether what I am doing on the screen right now is as important as I am making it to be. So, postural awareness, as I have emphasized on posture on the first part, it is a very important aspect. So, the first step would be to aware in what postures are we sitting at the moment, right? So, we will be discussing two scenarios, one while using desktop or laptop and other while using the phone. While using a desktop or the laptop, if you focus on the diagram on the screen, first and foremost thing is to have a good chair with a good back support, so that your spine is always supported and you do not have to slouch. Second would be to have your monitor at your eye level, not below your eyes but at the eye level and with a slight tilt towards upward, so that you do not have to bend your neck too much in the downward direction. Third would be to have your arms in the most relaxed posture that they can be. The angle between your arm and between your forearm, that is your elbows, should not be 90 degree, should not be less than 90 degree. It should always be more than 90 degree. So, as you can see in the diagram, they have marked it with an obtuse angle, right. Thighs should be always parallel or nearly parallel to the floor, because that is the position in which they are relaxed, and the feet should also be parallel to the floor, should be in a relaxed position, and you should use a foot support to help yourself. The monitor should be at an adequate distance from the eyes so as to not cause an eye strain. And the most important point would be to take frequent breaks, right. After some time you should move around, you should get up from your desk so that your muscles do not remain in the same posture for too long. Now, coming to a more important issue, that is what should our posture be while we are using our handheld devices. So, then again we should sit or stand upright, we should avoid slouching, we should hold our device at eye level and not below our eyes, so that we have to look down or we have to bend, but the best way would be to hold the device at an eye level. We should alternate the fingers while we are typing or touching the screen. So, always using the thumb might not be that great an idea. Mixing it up with using facilities such as speech recognition wherever possible would be a better idea, because it reduces the strain on the fingers. Using hand-free options, and again taking breaks every 20 minutes. This is very important. If we continue scrolling through our social media feeds for hours and hours, it is obviously going to cause pressure on our hands and wrist and on our thumbs. So, it is very important to take a break every 20 minutes. There are also some yoga asanas that can help with the overall posture of the body, can reverse some of the deleterious effects and can prevent further injury, such as Tadasana, the Vrikshasana or the tree pose, the Bhujangasana or the cobra pose, the cat cow pose, and the Setu Bandhasana, that is the bridge pose. Now, as we were discussing, taking breaks and movements. So, while you are working on a desk, it is important that every 20 to 30 minutes you should stand up and stretch. You should take a break by moving around, so that your muscles are not locked in that position. Performing simple exercises such as the poses that we had discussed and some that we will be discussing in the coming slides reduces long-term strain and discomfort. Focusing on the key areas, the areas which were engaged while you were working, such as your fingers, your wrist, your shoulders, your neck, will help to reduce the strain and improve the posture and flexibility. So, what can be done for our hands and wrists during these breaks that we are supposed to take after every 30 minutes? One would be finger stretches. Finger stretches is what? That you, since our fingers are in this direction while we are typing, so stretching fingers is like pulling them in the other direction so that your muscles get a chance to relax. Finger fanning is spreading your fingers as wide as possible and then closing them. Wrist flexion and extension, this is the flexion of the wrist and this is the extension of the wrist. So, this movement helps to engage both groups of the muscles and that causes a decrease in the strain. Neck and shoulder exercises are also very important. So, during the breaks, moving your neck side to side, up and down, left and right, and rotating the neck. You all must have tried that at some point of time, and it is very relaxing because it disengages the strain on the muscles and it helps us to relax. Similarly, for the shoulders, it is important to move the shoulders. Best would be to rotate the shoulders in a circular movement so as to use all the groups of the muscles responsible for shoulder movements, and it also causes ease in the upper back pain and neck pain that might be there due to excessive use of screens. Backs, legs and feet. So, for back, as we have discussed, stretching up, a backward arch, that is bending in the backward direction, can help release the tension in the spine. While doing a backward arch, it is important to support your lower back and lean gently as much as you are able to do, and a shoulder squeeze. Shoulder squeeze is what? Trying to bring both of your shoulders together from the side of the back. So, that also releases strain in the shoulder muscles. For legs and foot, a simple toe curl, that is just closing, trying to flex your toes and releasing, can relieve a lot of strain on the muscles. Doing a foot rotation and a hip stretch would also help similarly. Now, coming to eyes. So, eyes are definitely the most affected organs when we talk about digital use, because we are seeing through our eyes and that is the organ that is becoming engaged the most. So, first and foremost tip would be to prevent dryness and strain in the eyes, that is to blink regularly to keep the eyes lubricated. As we have also seen that constant use of screen also decreases the blinking rate. So, yes, blinking regularly, and if you still feel a burning sensation in your eyes, it would be better to use eye drops or artificial tears which contain CMC to reduce this dryness. Then optimizing the screen and lighting, that is to be using our devices in a room which does not have too much of a bright light, because then it can cause glare in the screen and that will lead you to increase the brightness of your screen also. And then to use blue light filters, especially while working at night, because they disrupt the melatonin and they can disrupt your sleep as well. Some exercises for eyes would be eye rolls, that is rotating your eyes clockwise and counterclockwise. Palm warmth is basically gently cupping your eyes and rubbing hands over them. And a very important method would be the 20-20-20 rule. So, in this what we do, every 20 minutes you try to look at a distance such as the wall or the door which is very far away, such as 20 feet away or so, and you maintain that for 20 seconds. So, what this does is, while your eye muscles are actively focusing in a shorter distance, when you look at a farther point, it allows them to relax, and this decreases the pain around the eyes. And very important is to have regular checkups, that is get your eye test done regularly for visual acuity, and to use appropriate glasses, have a visual correction that fits you best. For ears, again we cannot emphasize more on taking regular breaks. So, if you are, instead of listening for hours and hours of loud music, it is important to take breaks. Use moderate volume at safe levels to prevent harm to inner ear structures and to prevent ear strain, and cleaning these devices regularly. Especially we are in the habit of carrying our headphones and earphones in bags. There can be mold, there is a lot of bacteria growing on them. So, regular cleaning will reduce the bacterial buildup and it will decrease the risk of any ear infections. Moving on to sleep. So what can we do so that our sleep is not affected by our use of technology? First and foremost would be to set a digital curfew to limit the screen time before bed. That is to have a time such as if you decide 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. beyond which you will not be scrolling on your devices, you will not be watching any series or playing games. This allows your brain to get time to slow down and for the sleep to come naturally. Second would be to use blue light filters if at all you are supposed to use any devices at night. Then having a blue light filter is essential so that there is no breakdown of melatonin and you are able to get sleep at a normal time. And the best strategy would be to avoid devices, avoid using devices prior to bedtime or in the bed, because once we start scrolling while we are in the bed, that process can go on for hours and hours. So not to take any devices with you when you are going to the bed. Taking overall care of oneself also is a very important aspect. So proper hydration and nutrition goes a long way in taking care of our health. So while we are taking these breaks every 20 to 30 minutes, drinking lot of water, maintaining a balanced diet would be important. It would support the immune system, stress management and sleep quality. Also going for regular health checkups. So it is also very important to be mindful of what our body is telling us. Are we facing problem of upper back pain? Are we having strain around our neck and in our hands? If yes, the first step would be to correct our posture. Maybe that is not correct. Have a better chair, have a better work environment. And if that also does not solve a problem, then seeking medical help would be important. Just not using painkillers for short relief, but rather getting the problem evaluated by a professional would help solve the problem for a longer run. In conclusion, I would like to conclude with 3 important points. The first being that we have to be mindful of our use of our devices and their impact on our health. So in terms of physical health and even in terms of mental health, what happens that we fall into this habit of using devices in a certain way, and then we are not aware whether what is the impact, whether we are sitting right or not, what are we doing with our time while we are spending it online. So being mindful, should I literally be using Instagram for 2 hours? Is it serving any purpose? That is what being mindful means. Then actively engaging in preventive measures, making sure that you are taking those breaks that are recommended for every 20 minutes and you are actively exercising or disengaging your muscles is important. We should remember that prevention is always better than cure. And if at all you happen to develop a problem, say it a poor eyesight or a hearing problem, then not ignoring those symptoms, not thinking that they will go away with time, not looking for quick fixes such as painkillers, but rather to get a proper health checkup done and to evaluate the root cause of the problem would help. So that is it. In the end, we should acknowledge that the devices are here to stay. They are going to be a major part of our lifestyle. We cannot do without them. So it will be better if we come up with ways so that they have minimal impact on our health. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, ma'am. It was indeed very detailed and very informative. You talked about different aspects that how spending excessive time on cyberspace can create problem for our physical health. And we all know that this is something that should be avoided at any cost, but it is inevitable in today's scenario, because of course people are working from home. We are living in post-pandemic era and things have changed drastically. People are working from home, students are studying from home. There's so many groups that are formed on WhatsApp or other networking sites because we have to collaborate, come together, and that is the easiest way and fastest way to communicate. So avoiding screens is inevitable. But I'm sure that there are people who are still struggling. Even if you do not want to use a mobile phone, you still have to, because sometimes you're compelled to. Moreover, there are so many initiatives taken by the government, like digital initiative. We have to learn, how to make use of digital technology. And today in education also, when we talk about National Education Policy 2020, yes, we also have some recommendations that focus on physical education. So I want to understand that despite all that, we understand the problem is there, but we cannot avoid it. We're still working on it. But, you know, accepting and acknowledging is the first thing.
Yes.
Sometimes, as you said, we keep on consuming the content. We don't even know why we are doing that, you know.
Yes.
So mindfully consuming the content is something that we should be aware of. But for that, we need to realize what we are doing. So let's talk about those red flags, you know, that can give us some kind of signal that you are, you know, actually going in the wrong direction. So what are those red flags according to you, and when do they start showing in terms of our physical health, that we should now stay alert, that this can be difficult for the future?
Yes, definitely. So, in the beginning we talked about physical well-being, that well-being basically means our body should be able to do what it can do, right? So, if you are, say, a young person who should be able to run, who should be able to walk, right? You should be able to carry your own school bags, and while doing that you are having a back pain, you are not able to do that. So that should be a red flag. Being in any kind of discomfort or pain should immediately raise questions that why is this happening to me?
But we have the tendency to avoid the problem
Yes.
till it becomes severe.
Exactly. So that is what red flags are. They are very subtle signs that your body is telling you that something is wrong. There is something wrong in the way we are conducting our lives. Similarly, having constant tearing from the eyes, or having constant eye itch, or having episodes of blurring of vision, not being able to focus immediately. So that should raise a concern whether there is something wrong with my eyes, right? Having itching or pain inside the ear should raise a question whether there is something wrong, right? Other than this, if you're not able to sleep, people discount. In today's times, it has become a norm. It has become normative to not fall asleep at the correct time, right?
That's right.
Staying up late, then having struggle waking up early, remaining groggy, that has kind of become normative. But we should always remember that that is not how it should be, and we should focus on, so yeah, that should be a red flag, not being able to sleep on time.
So these subtle signs, actually they give you a very big clue that, you know, something is wrong, because you talked about itching in eyes or redness, and these days we discount these problems to pollution. We blame the pollution for the entire thing. We just fail to understand that it is our increased screen time probably, or the blue light that is, you know, coming out of the mobile phones that is affecting our eyesight. Now, I also want to understand that, you know, these days what people do, because everybody is working, they hardly have time to sit and spend time with family members. So generally parents, they give their mobile phones to their children, because of which we see at a very tender age children are suffering from problems in their eyes. Now, again, here, what kind of, I would say, remedial actions would you suggest to families? Because everything starts from home. You know, our health starts from home, right from our diet, the way we interact, the content we consume. It all starts from our home. So what kind of advice would you like to give to people, to societies, to communities, that how they should be acting in order to have a good health?
Yeah. So, in context of children, there are guidelines that like the American Pediatric Association, they recommend that young children should not have a cumulative screen time beyond 1 hour or 2 hours in a day. So, if your child is spending more than this time at the screen, that should raise some pointers in your head that this is not right. And what happens with children is, if they're spending too much time on the screen, then this time that is being spent on the screen takes away from other activities that they should be doing, like interacting with peers, having good social communication, right? Engaging in physical activities. If a child does not learn to enjoy physical activities in his childhood, how do you expect them to engage in exercises when they are growing up? So that is another thing. Now, also, if the child is using internet, if he is watching Instagram reels or YouTube shorts, there is not a lot in your control as to what they are seeing. They might get introduced to new ideas, not even if not dangerous ideas, then maybe some new foods. They might feel that burgers are nice or pizzas are nice, and they might demand that in you. So that also shifted dietary preferences, right? And obviously there is a harm of seeing content which is not good for them, right? So controlling screen use gives us this advantage of having of introducing our children to other beneficial activities, at the same time reducing the harms that they might come to face while they are using the devices. In context to other people, like people who are older, who are working, like work from home, or even when people are working in the offices, they are constantly interacting and they're constantly on their screen. So as I have said, and I've emphasized it again and again, taking breaks is very important. Our bodies are not meant to be in the same posture for a very long duration. So making a habit to moving around, right? Going to probably drink water, or just stretching at your own place.
But you know what, doctor, these days what are happening? People are even setting alarms as a reminder they have to drink water.
Yes.
They're not even, living that consciously, living in the moment. They don't even realize that their body demands water.
Yes. So see, that is also one of the downsides of using screens too much. Whatever, if you're working, then maybe the work could be that engaging, but if you're spending time on Instagram Reels, the content itself is so addictive, it is so the content itself is so tantalizing that you would want to keep going at it, and thereby ignoring the signals that your body is sending.
And also you mentioned one very important point. These days we have got a lot of choices. Like you have, of course, mobile phones with internet in your hands. You have all these apps where you can order food, in a bit. And see what these apps are offering. Food in 10 minutes.
Yes.
So what time they're taking to prepare the food, we need, of course, eating out is not good. Everyday eating out is not advisable. Definitely. But then look at the time that they are, promising you to deliver the food in just 10 minutes. Yes. What time they're taking to cook the food?
Yes.
So when did they actually cook the food? Are they just heating it up and delivering it to your doorstep? Exactly. I mean, so we need to understand whatever you are ordering, no matter how fancy the restaurant is or how expensive the food is, please understand that no food can be healthy which is cooked in just 2 or 3 minutes.
Exactly.
It is not possible, rather.
Also that it takes away from your own interest in probably choosing what ingredients you want to should go inside your food, the process of preparing that food, and looking for quick fixes. That is what social media and internet has given us, is the quick fix, this quick reward.
Yes.
So that is what also gets translated in terms of food. So that ultimately will result in bad dietary choices.
Absolutely, and problems. Now, we know that the symptoms are there. We realize that our body is suffering, and now we want to get rid of it. So whom to consult, basically? That's the big question.
Yes. So we have gone across, we have seen what all impact it can have, and we have seen some preventive techniques that can help prevent those impacts. So first thing would be to acknowledge that there is a problem. The second would be, if you are able to acknowledge, and if you can maybe do some corrective measures, like maintaining a better posture, or bringing in a good chair probably, and see if that fixes the problem. If it doesn't, then that is the time to go to a medical professional. So like if you have back pain, then consulting a physiotherapist or maybe even an orthopedician would not be that bad an option. Simply taking painkillers might not be that great of an idea. If you are having constant blurring of vision, if you are having constant headache, then instead of just taking a paracetamol or any other painkiller, it would be better to get the eyesight evaluation done at an optometrist, and then seeing an eye doctor if that is what is needed, right? Just not recklessly cleaning the ears, but maybe paying a visit to an ENT specialist to see if there is an infection build-up. Is there pus coming? Do you need to take a proper treatment for it? So that is also what can be done. So depending upon what problem you have, even consulting a general physician is also fine, as long as we are not trying to take a quick fix, and as long as we are ready to invest into what has caused the problem and correcting it. That would be
absolutely, because these days, it's not just about the mobile devices or laptop devices that we're using these days. Even in past years, when we used to watch television, we were advised not to eat while watching television, because you tend to eat more, you tend to eat junk food, you become a couch potato, and that affects your health, impacts your health very badly. Now, we know that we have to avoid all these things, and you said that there are certain changes that we need to make. Of course, whom to consult, go and see a professional. Don't become a doctor yourself. Again, we make use of Google. You know, if we want to improve our physical health, we consult Dr. Google, and we try to look for the symptoms that are there and try to look for the medicines that we can take or remedial measures that we can take. Here also, it is impacting our entire way of thinking, that this is not the correct way or correct, I think, way to solve a problem. Now, by adopting certain healthy lifestyles and making changes in our diet, we can make our lives better, especially when it's inevitable to avoid cyberspace. Yoga, for example, you mentioned. If you cannot do yoga, or if you can't do exercise regularly, because you talked about disturbed sleep cycle, but there are people who are working in call centers late at night and international BPOs and places where they have to wake up the entire night and do the work. What kind of tips would you like to give to these people? What they can do? Can they take intermittent breaks? Or they can just if they're seeing a screen continuously, then they can see some object afar. And
yes. So as I've also mentioned, if that comes with a part of the job, like people who have shift duties, so they should try aiming for at least 6 to 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep in a dark room, and should try to minimize the noise as much as possible, so as to simulate a night like environment in darkness, in peace, so that your sleep is uninterrupted and your body is well rested, right? With regards to screen time, it is definitely recommended that you take multiple breaks, even if you are not able to get up from your desk. It will not take too much of an effort to look into a distance, so that kind of gives your eyes a break, and it prevents in headaches that can happen, in damaging your eyesight, right?
Right. So and what about the consequences? Like, if we are not tackling the problem right away, if we are not serious about it, what do you think are the long-term consequences that these conditions can cause to us? If you can just throw some light on it, because I think apart from the physical ailments, we can also fall prey to many mental ailments over a period of time.
Exactly. So so if we do not take steps today, right? So if we do not tackle these problems right now, they will become a habit and they will become a lifestyle, right? So instead of having a lifestyle where you are engaging in adequate amount of physical activity, going for walks, going for jogs, going to gymming, and having healthy diet, your lifestyle would be spending majority of your day watching television and eating junk food.
Yes.
And that is basically what is a sedentary lifestyle. You do not have opportunities of active work, so you are sitting. That will lead to weight gain. That will lead to obesity, and we all know that obesity is on the rise, right?
Yes.
The prevalence is increasing, and obesity itself is a risk factor for various non-communicable diseases.
Root cause of so many problems.
Exactly. So you can have diabetes at a very young age, you can have hypertension, there can be cardiac problems such as myocardial infarction. There is an increase in myocardial infarction episodes in younger age population also. So taking steps today will prevent us from having these problems in the future. Like we were also saying that a lot of it is attributed to other things also. So say pollution, say not, but we need to remember that all of these contributory causes are not exclusive. It is not like if there is pollution, so the screens are not causing the damage. So we should try and reduce whatever we can that is causing damage to our health. So in terms of long-term consequences, these would be there. Another would be developing insomnia. If you disrupt your sleep, if your sleep cycle reverses, right, you are sleeping very late and then you are waking up very late, that can become a habit. And then tomorrow when you need to wake up early, you might not be able to do it. So having chronic insomnia could be one of the consequences. And all of these combined will have an impact on your mental health as well. So developing anxiety, developing depression, remaining irritable, having behavioral changes when you are not getting the screen time that you want will always be there.
And doctor, there is something called cyber sickness. Because today we are talking about AR, VR, augmented reality, virtual reality. These things are very addictive and engaging in nature. Everybody wants to experience that. But after this experience, you sometimes, experience headaches, nausea.
Exactly.
So what the cyber sickness is all about, and I am sure that, it is also part of the problem, bigger part of the problem now.
Exactly. So cyber sickness is basically, while there is an increased use of these devices, including virtual reality devices, our body is not adapted to using them for these longer periods of time. So we will not feel comfortable, and there are obviously going to be consequences. Some as far as having nausea, vomiting, or headaches, right, not being able to sleep. So that is what the concept of cyber sickness would be. Moderation would be the key to avoid all of this. We can engage in as many experiences that we want, as long as we do it in moderation, balancing it with other healthy lifestyle choices.
I remember experiencing a roller coaster ride, you know, in AR/VR, through AR/VR technology, and of course I was feeling all the movements in my body, and thankfully, because I am not the person who feels like vomiting or puking out after such kind rides in reality also, but the kind of impact they have on your body, I mean, definitely in a long term, as you said, it is not advisable. Anybody who is prone to sickness, cyber sickness, that person will damage the body, you know, especially if you're creating a content like that.
Yes. Moreover, these devices only engage the mind. Your body is not actually going through it. Your muscles are not exactly moving in that way. So there
is no coordination between what your brain or mind is experiencing and what your body is experiencing. So, doctor, it was indeed a very nice, you know, I would say discussion, because there are a lot many things that we can discuss. It's all about creating awareness and updating people that it's good to use it as a tool, but of course let it not master you, and do not become a slave of it. So that was a beautiful discussion. I learned a lot from it, and I'm sure that you have also jotted down important points that will be of great use for you and for your health. So that was our discussion on day 3. We talked about physical aspect of cyber safety, and I must thank my expert for this entire presentation. Thank you so much, Dr. Asmita, for your time and contribution to the session.
Thank you for having me.
And it was a very engaging session, I must say, very engaging, and it was brought to you by Central Institute of Educational Technology, that is CIT NCERT New Delhi, under the umbrella theme of safety in cyberspace. So I'm wrapping up this conversation here, but before I leave the studio, some important updates for you. Now, first of all, let me tell you about Balpan Ki Kavita, a beautiful competition that is still continuing, and you can have a look for more details.
क्या आपको भी गीत, कविता पढ़ने, लिखने और गाने गुनगुनाने में रुचि है? तो आइए, शिक्षा मंत्रालय भारत सरकार की एक अनूठी और सराहनीय पहल का हिस्सा बने तथा भारतीय भाषाओं और अंग्रेजी में लोकगीत और कविताएं भेजें। आप दिए गए लिंक पर अपनी रचनाएं अथवा किसी अन्य रचनाकार के गीत और कविताएं भेज सकते हैं। भारतीय भाषा कविता प्रतियोगिता के नियम आदि भी आपको इसी लिंक पर उपलब्ध होंगे।
We wish you luck for the competition, and also we would like to inform you that textbooks for grade 4 and 7 are now available on Amazon, Flipkart and NCERT website. So please grab your copies now. And now, before I leave, finally let me tell you that the upcoming session is called Sahyog, and let's take a look at the schedule also. That this is a wonderful session, you know, meant for providing psychosocial support to teachers, students and parents across the country. Today's topic is going to be developing rational thought for emotional well-being. With this, it's a wrap. This is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you. Namaskar.